Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Gunn Show. For those of you who are returning visitors, I do not need to explain what this is about. For those of you who are new, let me just say that Gunn is my last name. I don't have any weapons and I definitely don't have any muscles, so it's not about either of those. The Gunn Show is focused on humanizing the manufacturing and engineering world. We are so happy on a regular basis to help bring people and personalities and characters to this global world where we see everything around us, the rockets and satellites and cars and everything that a doctor uses. I mean, the manufacturing and engineering world I get so excited about because almost everything around us is made by us, and yet we still don't know the people. We don't know their story, how they got here. Was it on purpose? Are they misfits, kind of like myself? How did we get into the world that we're in? So today I have the great pleasure to bring to you my friend Tom Wood, Director of Growth Initiatives. And we're going to learn a little bit more about who he is, where he comes from, his schooling, his background, and also some really cool technology that's been released recently from Norgren. So you're going to want to stay tuned because I'm pretty excited to share this story. This is the Gunn Show. Tom, thank you so much for joining the Gunn Show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks a lot, Tony. I'm really excited to be here, and just want to shout out to your listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm excited to share my story and a really new cool product that we're working on.
Well, my listeners are your listeners, my friend. When they see Tom is tagged in this, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear it. They're now your listeners, buddy. So let's talk a little bit about you. Obviously, you have an engineering degree from Purdue. You worked for GE for 21 years, but what did you do before that? How did you get into this industry? And tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, I would love to. So, I, you know, growing up, I felt like the engineering track was right in my wheelhouse. And as I started to go through Purdue, I actually got involved in their co-op program, or grad program, as some companies call it, including IMI that I'm at, and the program allows you to go work at a company and then go to school, and you kind of flip flop semesters. And one of the rotations I did was in sales and marketing at this company, and that really opened my eyes that wow, there is a lot more you can do with an engineering degree. You don't have to be necessarily behind a desk designing things. You need engineering for in manufacturing. You need engineering out selling and out marketing technical products. So there's a whole world you can use to apply your degree. And so I knew at that point that I was going to kind of go down this commercial track, a commercial path in my life, exiting Purdue. And that's how I got connected to GE. So I went into their grad program, and where you do rotations again. And but I was slotted for commercial, so that was my passion. And I got into their automation division, which at the time was GE Fanuc. It was a joint venture with Fanuc, the CNC controls manufacturer. And so been around CNC equipment and machines and automation my whole life.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating to know that part of the story because I came into this industry on accident, and you did it on purpose, and got that degree and went the right routes and worked through GE, and they helped you learn as well. What was it like being at GE?
It was this was back in the late Jack Welch days, so that was really fascinating to hear and learn from a legend in the business world. I got a chance to attend a few sessions in person with him, and he was mesmerizing. When he captivated the audiences, it was fascinating. And that was in a big growth area for GE and a lot of acquisitions, and so it was a really exciting time. Working that career in automation at the time. was really starting to take roots in the in the manufacturing world. So it was just a good opportunity. And GE was fascinating company to work with. Very they encouraged to try new things, but yet had a pretty solid structure in place. So it was a good it was a good mix.
I mean, the world knows GE from the outside looking in, right? We know the creativity that comes from it and the amount of inspiration a lot of times. And so being on the inside, I can only imagine what you got to see. I might try to pick your brain even after this podcast and go, so want to give me a few hits? Want to be my mentor for a little while? I can only imagine the growth that you saw. And before we hit record on this thing, you had mentioned the implementation of FANUC, and you saw a lot of that kind of growth within GE as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. The FANUC was a way to kind of merge CNC machine control with like PLCs, which is kind of the other category of automation. And the two companies formed an official joint venture to share products and technology around the globe, and it was a long successful joint venture, and yeah, just fantastic. Some of the one of the things also I just remembered was GE was really good, and so was this product that we're eventually going to talk about. It's about new technology, and GE was pretty good at developing new technology and then figuring out how to kind of apply it. And there was a product for some distributed IO that was really revolutionary. In fact, they called it Genius IO, and it was a classic example of really reinventing distributed IO before there was even a term distributed IO. And it's really important, I think, for companies to push the envelope for technology. I mean, that's really ultimately what moves the needle and moves the world. And I'm just real excited about getting involved in projects like that.
Yeah. So is naming something genius actually a genius thing to do? So then you recently, in the world of 21 years of GE, you recently moved over to a company called Norgren. What was that transition like, and what was that motivation like?
Yeah, so that was so the path to Norgren was I went to a company called Bimba, who is famous in the fluid power industry. Bimba manufactures those pneumatic cylinders that are just everywhere. Had a chance to meet the guys at Mythbusters, the television show. They had used a lot of Bimba and was able to get on set actually in San Francisco. Jamie Heidemann is the guy that I connected with. He was the one with wore the fedora, the bald guy. So just a great story there. That Bimba then got Norgren acquired Bimba about 4 years ago. So that's how I came through into the Norgren company. And now Norgren is, just for everybody's knowledge, Norgren's parent company is IMI, and IMI is a UK-based global company with multiple brands. Norgren being one of the more famous ones.
Well, I was about to segue you into these fun products that I've seen so many videos on, but I have to take a quick pit stop and go, what were those guys like that you met with from that show?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, literally, they were filming an episode, and we were able to get, me and one other person, we were able to get on set. And it was fantastic. The guys were great. We ate dinner on site in a tent, and met the director, and it was just a wonderful experience. It was, and then we went and toured the Mythbusters location, their kind of headquarters, where all these different experiments were housed, and just a really neat experience.
Yeah, I don't know how much editing is involved, but they certainly come off as pretty clever and also fairly down to earth people for doing as many episodes as they've done, right? And being
Yeah,
as famous as they are. That's the way they come off anyway. Is it like that
yeah,
being in person?
yeah, 100%. down to earth, both the two superstars, but then all the crew, were fantastic, and just really didn't know exactly who I was, but that they knew I was the Bimba guy, and they knew that they used Bimba in a lot of their episodes. So it was really a treat and fun memory I'll never forget.
Then let me segue you in, my friend, to what I'm reading right now. Welcome to the future of machine tool work holding. I mean, that's quite a statement. However, I have watched this video and those soft jaws are incredibly slick. So I'm not gonna steal your thunder. If you wouldn't mind, give a great visual aid for the people listening right now about this technology and how it actually works.
Yeah. So there's a really great story on how they came about. I'll first kind of try to explain, just put a image in your head. So when you're going to clamp a workpiece or a part in a CNC machine, especially if it has some kind of shape, you typically would have machined soft jaws, right, with the inverse of that shape so that you could hold it. And the idea here is, instead of having to use soft jaws with that inverse shape, we developed a product that's got fingers that move, that can move on both sides. So there's two jaws, and those fingers move to actually form whatever shape that you're trying to hold. And it's been an just amazing piece of technology that we came up with. Just super excited. That's kind of the big picture. It started with our own. We machine a lot of parts at IMI around the world, at Bimba, Norgren, and our machinists. All of our functions are looking for ways to do things better, be more efficient. We're an engineering company. I mean, that's the bottom line. So we're always trying to build a better mousetrap for ourselves. And we ended up coming up with something, and we decided, wow, I'm familiar with the CNC community, and that community likes to share and talk and share ideas and stuff. And so we started talking to some of the community out there, and that's where we decided that this is something we should probably make available to the whole market.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree. And I bumble my words a little bit because there's so many words, adjectives I want to use to describe it, but I also don't want to come off as redundant. So when I'm saying it's incredible and it's awesome and it's amazing, these are very true statements. But instead of just using adjectives, I have about 7 topics that go into this product itself, which I would like to lead you into because you'll describe it far better, about the significance of how this helps. And I've seen videos out there of your product and some older generic style products of people who tried to create something similar years ago, and they're grabbing onto wrenches and they're grabbing onto just random uh, dimensions of parts, but it holds it quite snug, right? It keeps a bit of rigidity. So I'm on your website. So everyone who's out there who wants to look at this a bit more, you can go to the website. The website is norgrenworkholding.com. So what I'm about to go over, Tom, for you is those 7 great components as I scroll down to the bottom that we can break down for the audience that's listening right now. Because everyone heard you go, yeah, I can grip anything. That's cool. Well, guess what else you can do? All of the things that we're about to go over. So the first one is instant setup. So for someone who's learning about this right now, what does instant setup mean with this?
Yeah. So you can literally move the fingers within seconds to form the shape to whatever part that you're trying to hold. And there's a locking bolt that lock down the fingers. So once you get it in position, you just lock the bolt by hand, and then you use a torque wrench to do your kind of final lock. And then those fingers will never move. So then you can move the jaws in and out like a normal vise. And if you're trying to make 3 of the same part, that shape is now stable and locked in. So you can move the jaws out, drop in the second part, move them in, machine whatever you're trying to do, and repeat. That instant setup is, you could just imagine how beneficial that is not having to, especially if you're a shop that has lots of variability on part shapes. You don't necessarily know next week what kind of part might be coming in. To have something where in seconds you can conform to whatever shape that part is, we think is super valuable.
100% valuable. So there's going to be some people out there right now, I guarantee it, going, well, this sounds way too good to be true, but I do trust Tom. So I'm going to check it out, right? And I know we're talking more about the soft jaw side of things, but I have to bring up what the rigidity is like. Even though it's soft jaws, it's not hard jaws, so we know we're playing that game. What is the rigidity like on something that is truly this flexible for all these different array of parts?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Tony, and our own machinists, if you remember, they're the ones that kind of came up with the idea. So they had some criteria that we had to meet. So one of them was accuracy. So if I go to put that part in and to drawings, and I want to drill a hole, it's got to be dead accurate. So our target is a thousandth of an inch to be from an accuracy specification. And then the next criteria was repeatability. So my example of going to the second part, okay, I still might be a thousandth of an inch accurate, but I got to be able to repeat that same drill hole, in the second part and the third part. So with these different fingers that are, that move, it's our engineering has done an amazing job at developing technology that once you tighten that bolt, things just don't move, and you get that accuracy and repeatability of a thousandth of an inch. And then finally, the third criteria was just high clamping force. So, we want people to be able to use this as a normal vice jaw. You could slide all the fingers flat and just use it as a flat surface like you would a normal bench vise. And so the clamping force was very, very critical for us to make sure that it would hold the part. So really, those are the three that we really zeroed in on, and just some amazing engineering under the hood has gone into this product to make all those happen.
Powerful stuff, man, truly. So we'll move on to the next one. And it's almost rhetorical at this point because it's going to be such common sense, but we have to talk about it anyway. And that's eliminating storage, right? Because how many people out there have a million different soft jaws out there for all the parts that they're making, right? And this is what we're looking at eliminating, right?
Yeah. So one of our plants in Pennsylvania, so they went and counted for us. So they have 1,400 pairs of soft jaws, 1,400 that they are storing, and that is a great example of just eliminating that. We had one customer tell us that, hey, I've got limited space, and if I can reduce my soft jaw storage, I could actually maybe sneak in another machine where I'm storing all my soft jaws. So now we're talking about plant capacity and things like that, in addition to just the obvious of, less storage means less complexity. I don't have to chase down that, we've had, internal, a job come across like, oh my gosh, that customer, that was like 4 years ago. Where the heck is that soft jaw? It's got to be here somewhere. And they're running around spending hours trying to find it. Where here you could just bring in that part, move your fingers, tighten it up, and you're off and running.
I love it. And you've said it already, but I'm going to reiterate for you because I sometimes like to do that for the audience because to me, it's one of those statements that needs to be. And you mentioned what is 1,400. I mean, that's so many. And you talked about the real estate space that's removed by removing those. And you quickly went over, the time it takes to search for each of those, even if we're all doing great at, Six Sigma and lean manufacturing and 5S, we still have to find those parts, right? But you didn't even mention what we kind of did, right? Is the cost. How many times, 1,400 times what price, right? So now we're talking about real estate, time savings on searching for it, and the overall investment in all of that product. So that's my reiteration of how significant eliminating storage is. Now, The next one on here is the interchangeable pin tips. Now, when I see this and when I look at this, Tom, do you remember? And they're still out there, but I remember being a kid and there was that rectangle piece of, they
Oh,
weren't nails, but those little metal pieces, right? And you push your hand or you push your face onto it, and it would completely mimic and mold to whatever you put in there. And that's exactly how I envision what you're talking about here with this vise.
yeah, and that pin toy that you're referencing, we use that in one of our first presentations. We got a hold of the toy and showed people, because you're right, it's that kind of visual gives a great idea of what we're trying to do. The problem with the pins though is that they wouldn't give repeatability. So if you put your hand in those pins and you shifted your hand a little bit, the pins are going to move and adapt to your movement. So from a repeatability standpoint, you can't get it. So that's why we chose this more rigid finger concept. But yeah, you're right. That pin toy is exactly what we started with to convey the concept.
Clever technology, brother.
Yeah.
So the next one on here is vice compatibility, and it says works with common vice manufacturers. Does this mean that I can have this super flexible, fairly universal setup that goes from a 0.0, all these quick change bases that are in there right now? Is that what we're describing?
Yeah, that's our goal. I mean, there's a lot of Vice brands out there, so we're methodically going through the different brands and understanding how to attach our jaws to the base of the Vice. So we're literally going through the different top brands in the world, and we hope to work through that list over time. It takes time though. Each manufacturer has their little nuance, obviously. So it's just gonna take a little time for us to get through that. But we're excited about something having our product be able to sit on a majority of the Vice brands out there in the world.
Tom, you are not exaggerating, my friend. You may not know this about me, but I had a short stint of working in the work holding world as well, and we were studying all of those as well as how to implement them on all the different CNC machines, right? Because all the beds are different, then all the jaws are different, and some people are lining up with certain millimeters and creating a little bit of ease for us. But I'm totally with you when we're talking about all the ones out there. It takes work, it takes time, but that's a really cool aspect as well. Um, so also field repairable. What does that mean?
So we know that crashes happen in the machine, and if we wanted to make sure that that if someone was to crash a drill into one of the fingers, that it could be repaired, on the spot. So this has gone through multiple iterations with key customers giving us feedback, and that bolt that I was telling you about that you tighten, that actually unscrews, and you can pull the bolt out and then replace any individual finger, and then just slide the bolt in with a little coupler on the other side, and you're good to go. So it was meant to just be, if there's an issue, you Mr. Machinist can get it up and running within seconds or minutes at least.
You guys must have seen me programming and machining some things. You realize we needed some field repairable jaws out there watching me do that, right?
Yeah.
So dedicated support. Let's talk a little bit about dedicated support, because let's be honest, and this is going to be a repeated statement by me, but it reigns true and it will reign true forever, I think. Sales sells the first one, service sells all the rest, right? So let's talk about dedicated support.
Yeah, and so what's really excited to share this concept of support, even on the pre-sale side. So we want to make sure that this product will work for everybody, and what we're willing to do is we're willing to even have somebody send us a part or a CAD model of a part, and we'll actually get on a virtual reality. We got a really nice camera. We can actually show and demo you kind of how it works, and we'll even demo and show it to you with your own part if you want to send that to us. So we feel like there's a lot of upfront support to make sure that, adopting to new technology, we could help you through that journey. And then same thing on the back end. We are using some augmented reality so that the customer can actually pull up their phone and actually dial into our support team, and they can hold the phone up to their application. Let's say they got a question on that repairability, for example. Let's say they've loosened the bolt, but they had a question. They could actually pull their camera up, and our tech guys, support guys, can actually see it. And then the customer can actually draw on their phone and point to areas that they're having an issue, or likewise, we can do the same. So we're really using some really neat augmented reality technology to try to help take support to the next level.
Is this why you're always busy? You are
Yeah.
always busy, my friend. It's because I'm reading this and it says experts available to answer any questions at a moment's notice, which means this is why you and I are doing this podcast now, to let the world know that we are available to help them, right?
Yeah, yeah, anywhere in the world, and this, we're really leveraging all the new technology out there to help people, and stay connected, and figure out what how to make sure that everything's working and they're happy. So it was an area that we really focused on, at the beginning, to make sure there was a really great customer experience.
Well, Tom, last but certainly not least, because again, going back to my excellent machining skills, durable construction, meaning this thing can take a little bit of a beating. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot, that inside a CNC machine, it's pretty nasty environment. So that was obviously something that we were going to have to make sure that, it's withstood all the cutting fluids and all the extreme forces and temperatures and all that. So really, really tested the heck out of it, and to make sure that it stood up like your normal system.
Is there anything, Tom, that you and I have left out about this technology, whether haven't asked the question or I've missed the question, or whatever it might be, that you feel is significance for the audience to know, to understand exactly how important and how unique and how creative and powerful this technology can be for them?
Yeah, I've got one. I'd like to go back to that tip discussion and dive into that just a little bit deeper, because this was actually came from some customers that, so not only are the fingers adaptable, but then the tips, we created this adaptable or flexible tips. So you can actually change out materials on the tip. So you can have hard steel, soft steel, aluminum, brass tips, and then also different shapes. So we've got the shape that, you talking about that one, product video that's gone around that shows clamping that wrench or whatever. We actually have a tip now that will do the same exact thing. And then we're going to offer some services to, allow for some unique tips for a certain customer. We had one that wanted to touch a casting just in two spots, and so we're developing a custom tip for that. So, we also have tips that have built-in parallels, okay, at multiple different dimensions. So you don't have to use your parallels anymore. It comes in built into these tips. So I'm so excited about this. I think the fingers are adaptable and flexible, but then all these tip options and customizations takes adaptability to the next level.
I would concur with that, my friend. I really would. So I guess my next question has to be, do you have a couple of samples I can take around with me to show customers? Because I love blowing people's minds. It's kind of my job, right? Is to ignite inspiration and create excitement and showcase technology. So, I'll give you my home address in a bit. You ship one over to me, and we'll see what we can do about that, right?
You got it, Tony. Count on it.
Awesome. So I did say the website earlier, but if there's multiple websites based on the, IMI being in the UK and, Bimba and everything, do you want to give any social connections or websites where people can find out more about this technology or find out more about you guys in general?
Yeah, so exactly for that reason, the work holding space is new for Norgren. Not, we're a big we're 100+ year user of in the industry, but not kind of selling into it. So we felt to help, at least initially, we created a separate website, norgrenworkholding.com. And so I encourage everyone to visit that. And then we're very, very active on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. In fact, some of you out there might have even seen some of our ads that we're running to show off the new product. So very, very active on the social side of things.
Well, I would like, if you don't mind, if you want to send me over a couple of videos, I'd love to share them with the global audience that watches my personal channel and MTD channel as well. I think oftentimes seeing is believing, and audio is perfect for those folks driving in traffic or working on their machines in the shops, and we're listening to the podcast. And we're super thankful for all of you guys who are listening and join us every single week. Tom and I both are, and all of the guests are. But let's get some videos too. I'd love to share those
Yeah,
with the audience, Tom.
yeah. No, in this case, a picture is worth 1,000 words, for sure. I mean, when you see it in action, it really comes to life, of what we've just been talking about, Tony. So I will be talking with you and connecting with you on the video side as well.
Sounds good, brother. I do appreciate it. For all of you guys and gals listening out there, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed Tom's story and technology and everything that goes along with it. Tom, you are amazing. This is the Gunn Show, and thank you so much for being a part of it, my friend.
Thank you. Can't thank you enough.